スーパーマリオオディシー。
Zelevato. Zelevato.
Spaghetti, ravioli, mamma mia, Yum. Macaroni, zitti, busiate.
Okay, everyone. Last time I did a video on Joy to Key, it was a very broad spectrum sort of. This is kind of what you do when you download the software. Now I'm gonna get into specifics about one profile that I'm sure is important to a lot of people, and that's Modern Warfare 3. Okay. Now, course, just for any doubters, there it is, Modern Warfare 3, right? This is not the only game that needed controller support. Modern Warfare 3 did, as well as the first Modern Warfare, which is Call of Duty 4, and Star Trek Legacy. Even Battlefield 3, I had to map a few keys because they have game mapping software in it, but you know what? It's extracted. Another game, they all have it, but if you're looking for perfect emulation for Modern Warfare 3, as you can see, it's already highlighted. All you really have to do is just look at what everything is and see that if you do everything carefully enough, it'll be just like if you're playing on a console, but you're playing on a PC where the graphics are a million times better. Okay. First things first, I want to let everyone know that this program does not identify specific buttons to specific gamepads because it's a program that wants you to map any gamepad. So it says button 1, button 2, button 3. As you can see here in my other joystick, which is my Logitech Attack actual throttle. It's, you know, got everything. I'm not using it for this profile, so nothing is programmed, but it does the same thing as button 1, button 2, button 3. That's just how it is. So it gives you the option of pressing a button and identifying what button number corresponds to what on your gamepad. In this case, I'm using an Xbox 360 PC wireless controller. When I push the A button, it's being identified as button 1, which is great. So it's really not that much to worry about. As far as knowing exactly what buttons do what on the keyboard and mouse for your game, unfortunately, that's something that you're going to actually have to physically start the game and see. But you can feel free to copy my profile because I have it down to a T. All right. Foot movement is the WASD keys, so you just map them as such. Your left joystick, you know, you make it A, and then you push OK. The first box up here under keyboard. Okay. Stick 1 to the right is D. Okay. All you got to do is really look at your keyboard and pretty much program them as is comfortable for you. Now stick 2. Same thing, you want to map it to the mouse movement, right? So you go up here and you make sure that the mouse tab is highlighted, okay? It's clicked. Please do not comment me or write me and say, oh, well, I can't map to the mouse, and you don't even have it clicked on the mouse tab, okay? So this is stick 2 to the left, right? And it'll even tell you in the description up here what stick you're programming, okay? So you would just move it all the way to the left on the vertical plane, right? Then on the right, move it all the way to the right on the vertical plane. Up, go up all the way on the horizontal. Leave the side to side alone. Leave the vertical alone because now you're doing up and it has to go all the way to 100. Okay. Down, go all the way down on the horizontal. All right. And there you go. Now you're looking and your movement, you're done. All right. Now, before I go on any further, go to your options and make sure that in the show hide buttons that the last option is picked. All right. The show all axis, because if not, you won't see your left and right trigger under the joysticks. I don't know why, that's just how it comes by default. So don't worry about it, just fix it and your left and right triggers will show up. Okay. If not, you won't see them, you won't map them, and there's no point in even playing because how are you going to play if you can't shoot? Right. Also, the threshold for the input, I had to tinker with this a lot. It took me about a few hours to really realize why my movement was so choppy. The game itself was not choppy, but the movement wasn't. It was because of my analog stick threshold input. So finally, I come to realize that stick 1 needed to be at 15%, stick 2 at 10%. By default, they'll come by 2%. And also, for every new profile that you create, these will be at 2% again. So you'll need to go in there and fix those. That has worked for me. Like I said, the movement is smooth. Everything else, you start going higher or lower, it's not going to look good. Okay. So here's my left trigger that I'm squeezing on my controller. Okay. And it's going to correspond to the right mouse click. So you make sure the mouse tab is highlighted again and then click the right box. Okay. And then here's my right trigger being lit up. Okay. So you go there, left button. Because as we know in the game, the left click, okay, is to shoot, and the right click on the mouse is to aim, but it's switched on a controller, okay? And then your D-pad. So D-pad, I would put as F because that's when you're gonna switch weapons or hold a weapon or something like that, okay? D-pad right, the number 3. D-pad down, N, because you're really not gonna use N during any story mode, but it stands for next wave. So if you're doing waves, then you know you just push the D before I go. The difference whether if you put 4 on the number pad or the regular number 4. you need to put the regular number 4, because if you put the number pad and you try to use that D-pad during the game, it's not going to come up. I know that because it's happened to the numbers that are right next or the number 2. It doesn't matter. It's going to do the same thing. Button number for regular grenades or fratricide or whatever it is that he just goes straight to the prone, as opposed to 9 is the left joystick button. So 9 is the left joystick button. So just put it as shift. And button 10 is the letter E so that you can melee, and that's it, people. That is it. Once you've programmed it, you make sure you save it, okay? And if you want to go ahead and exit, you can exit. And if you don't want it to show on your taskbar, you just go to your preferences and make sure that the option is checked off to hide the icon from the taskbar, because it's still going to be on your quick launch bar anyway. And that's it. Just save it, exit, okay? Make sure that when you are going to play a game utilizing Joy to Key, make sure that your gamepad is the first thing that is checked off, okay? Make sure that it's on, then start Joy to Key, then start your game, because if you don't do it in that order, Joy to Key will not recognize your device because you started it after you started the software, okay? If you have any other questions, people, feel free to go ahead and comment or write, and I will do my best to answer your questions. And here's some gameplay.
I like to welcome all my to the world famous Murder Inc. show. They call me the Mighty Rule. How you living? It's real, be talking. I wanna ask all my gangsters the real question. Holla back. What do you do when FedEx
Alright, hello everybody, this is Bo Hyman for Massively.com, and what I think I'm going to do for you like that so you can basically use it, ITOKE, don't worry about it, there in your game controllers list, and you're going to go to Properties, 6, use POV switch on to your left joystick pad. If you click left, so I actually just hit the A key, or if it, let's say it was W, I'd hit W. Let's say if it was, you know, left was the X key or whatever, you just hit the
Alright, hello everybody, this is Bo Hyman back once again with a quick, I'm going to do an updated tutorial on Joy2Key, which is this program that's going to allow you to use your joystick or your controller gamepad to basically control your mouse. Now what I'm going to do is your you can see I'm using my mouse right now for it, but I can also use my my controller. So what you want to, first thing you want to do is you're going to figure out, all right, let's see, let's just say let's do basically some, these are your basic,
the particular key in there. So in this case, to go left, I'd hit A. Then I just hit OK, and then now my left, whenever I hit the joystick to the left, it would actually be like pressing A in the game. So the POV buttons, POV1 buttons I should say, if you go through these 4 here, are basically for your directional pad, and what I use those for is the mouse. Now to get your mouse on the directional pad, for example, you just double click it, go to mouse, and in this case POV1 said right. So I'm going to go to my cursor here, and I'm going to move it to the right. See the horizontal numbers here, the horizontal slider? I'm going to move that to the right. About, I was doing it about 65, somewhere around there. Let's do 65. And you can adjust that for sensitivity, essentially, and hit OK. So now whenever my directional pad goes, whenever I push up, oh, that was up, wasn't it? Oops, let's fix that. So instead of going to the right, let's actually go to... Let's put that right back to zeros. This is how you can just change this real quick. Instead, I'm going to go up to about 65. Okay, so now my directional pad, if I press up on it, it actually acts as though I'm making my mouse, and as you can see, my mouse just moved. If you can see my little cursor there, it'll actually go up. And if I set the down one for the mouse to go down, see, so now it'll go down and up and down and up. So you can see how that is acting. My directional key is actually acting like a mouse. See, I can, and then if I wanted to select, let's go back here. What was my A button? My green button on the controller is number 1. So if I go to button number 1 on the controller, I can click that, and I can say, hey, let's go to mouse and let's make that the left button. So it says use button click, and I just click left button. So I can now not only move my joystick up, but I can actually select, move my mouse cursor up, but I can actually select now the A. So essentially all you're doing is you're using your properties to see what buttons correspond to what numbers, and then over here you're assigning those buttons to particular keyboard or mouse or command functions. So far all I've done is, for example in Milmo, is I use my my left joystick to drive the character, and then I made my right bumper, which is button number 6. I made my right button my right bumper the right button on the mouse. So what that means is that I can actually hold down my right bumper as though I'm holding down right click on the mouse, and then I can use that to pan the camera around. So let's say I'm driving along in Milmo, whatever, and then I want to look over the edge of a cliff, like tilt the camera down. I just hold the right button down and use the directional pad like a mouse, and then that will actually tilt the camera and everything. There's also, you can also zoom as well. If you have wheel mouse, you have the wheel middle button here. If you just use that, you can actually click on which rotation you want it to, like if you want it to go up or in or out. So that you can use that one for zooming in and out, so you can assign a couple keys for that. I think I can't remember what I used on that one, but I had one where it'll actually zoom my my camera in and out. So I can do pretty much everything from the controller. You can't really do too many things. Now there is a way for you to combine commands and stuff like that, and then you can you can actually kind of make it a little bit, like you can say, here's a special key, do this one plus this one, and that will help you.
Alright, hello everybody, this is Bohan back once again with a quick, I'm going to do an updated tutorial on Joy2Key, which is this program that's going to allow you to use your joystick or your controller gamepad to basically control your mouse to do other functions. It's really simple. Joy2Key is a free program. Make sure you go get it at Joy2Key, spelled out Joy, T-O-K-E-Y. Just Google it. Make sure you contribute if you can. And then you're going to download it and you're going to open it up and you're going to see basically this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Neverwinter, an MMO, as kind of a test here to show you how different things work. I have a really nitty-gritty key program in too, and that this is show hide buttons. You're going to want to do the drop down here and show all axes, 8-way plus point of view, blah blah blah. That's going to enable you to see, and I'll go back here to joystick so you can see. That's going to be able to see these triggers and to alter the triggers. Normally they're not enabled, so go make sure you enable that. It's just going to give you more choices. Okay, so you have, but I can also use my, click it and it's going to highlight. Let's have this mouse, your left, or this controller button, your left controller button. You can adjust, move it, and it'll highlight just like the left. So here, let me move it back. Your keyboard, stuff like that. You have, or driving, I should say. So this could be camera movement. In this case, it would be driving. Your D-pad can be shortcuts to whatever, to different grenades or special abilities. So you have, and then you have your bumpers here and your regular buttons. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 basic buttons just right here. Now, I'm using MMOs as an example because I'm an MMO player. That's plenty. You're going to have 4 or 5 or 6 main abilities. If you want to do more complicated stuff, let's say like Shift F9 for your mount to pop out or whatever, you're just going to need to either figure it out in here or just reach down to your keyboard. Now this might help with some people who have mobility issues or have achy wrists like me. I have old man wrists and they get kind of achy. So I use this sometimes to kind of take off some of the weight off of just keyboard and mouse. And like I said, you can go back and forth. Okay, so in this next screen, it's the assignment for stick 1, for this to the left of on your left stick. So in this case, you see the cursor movement right here? You're literally telling it, do I want to make it turn to the right, turn to the left, how far over? This also indicates how quickly you want it to move. Right now I have it adjusted really quick, so you can watch that, how fast it moves. It moves really fast, so see how fast it's going. So I've got it turned all the way up. You can adjust that to your liking. Remember, inside each individual game, a lot of times you can adjust cursor speed as well, so you can kind of adjust it in the game. I turn it up to 100 and usually get in my MMO or game, and it usually helps. It usually has an option to control it in there. Okay, so if I wanted to make the cursor go down, for example, I would be using this one here for down. So I would make it go all the way down. Right now I'm just going to leave it on 0. How do I get it back to 0? Let's cancel that and open it back up. Okay, so left goes all the way over. Okay, so now I want to make the right mouse go. Oh, it's this next one on down the list. So you double click on that one. You push it all the way over to the right. I'm pointing at the screen, you can't see.